everyone. Well, the only time I've seen money be less predictable is in Vegas. Wait, so this video is going to cover Money in the Bank and the Raw Talk from after. We'll start with Raw Talk and work our way backwards. I hope you guys are ready with all of your thoughts about Money in the Bank. I'm Casualeann, come with me. Raw Talk July 4th edition sees us at WWE headquarters, supposedly, after the eventful 4th of July antics. Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp guide us through the headlines of the day. Specifically, Riddle pulls the ultimate page from the Viper/Vines playbook, unleashing an RKO out of nowhere on Seth Rollins. Asuka falling prey to big-time Becky Lynch, and despite all expectations, Bobby Lashley and Theory colliding at SummerSlam for the U.S. Championship. The first discussion proper is Liv Morgan cashing in her Money in the Bank contract on Ronda Rousey so she could become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Natalya came out on Raw pointing out that she did the heavy lifting and wore Rousey out so Liv could cash in. Carmella comes out to join them. Gibberish about SmackDown was the reason. Then they ganged up on Liv, which brought out the EST, Bianca Belair, which led to a tag match, and the champions were successful in that match. Sarah Schreiber's with the EST. She talks about Carmella cheap-shotting her, and she's glad about Liv becoming champion, but she's more glad that she cashed in on Ronda instead of her, so that they can do fun things like they did tonight. Subtext, I would have had to beat that drum if she'd come for me. Schreiber asked if it's difficult to be the EST, and Bianca retorts, listen, she's busy. There's no rest for the best. This was a fresh question. Yes! It was a short interview for certain, but it's information dense. Belair tells us about the mood between the two champions, how she enjoys being a champion, how she feels about Liv as a champion, and how it's not as easy as she makes it look. She did all she could with what was given. They go back to the no-holds-barred match between Becky and Asuka, and Camp reflects that the defeat of the Empress of Tomorrow makes a big statement to Adam Pearce in terms of future title shots. And Jackie points out how there are more stars jockeying for a contender's position, like Alexa Bliss. Conversation moves to the tag team match between the Mysterios and the Judgment Day. It was a pretty good match. The finish cracked me up because Priest and Finn were attempting to use stairs, but they hadn't yet. Ray falls down and pretends that Finn hit him and gets them both disqualified. So after the match, Judgment Day attacked the Mysterios backstage. Sarah Schreiber wants to know why they did it. Finn explains that they had to show them that the fancy stuff won't fly with the Judgment Day, and they will continue to beat the Mysterios down every single week. Damian Priest chimes in that they don't mess with the Judgment Day. You either rise and join the Judgment Day, or continue to follow leaders that lead you astray and prepare to be punished. It's a weird line that doesn't sound exactly like Priest, and the way he uttered it didn't sound like him either. It was just kind of odd, but it does allude to them maybe recruiting Dominic and that being the way that they separate he and his father finally. After a few ads, they cover the eating contest, the grossest segment of the night other than the six-man tag. They make sure that Otis takes the spear and from the Heaven's Frog Splash from Lashley and Montez Ford respectively, which led to some sap running or sickness from the tree trunks part. In the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. They follow with a replay of Seth Rollins versus Ezekiel, a match with the premise of Seth Rollins wearing a white lace shirt to a cookout, with hyped up, incredibly physical people sipping strong drinks and, oh yeah, brightly colored condiments. He wore white lace. There's a joke about the Visionary not seeing that coming, but I don't know how to write it. Anyway, that sure should have wanted to beat Seth down after Ezekiel accidentally squeezed ketchup on him. This leads to a match which Seth wins, but that's not enough, and he continues to beat on Ezekiel afterwards. Luckily, Riddle saved him with the RKO out of nowhere. When asked why, Riddle responds he wanted to get a little sweet revenge for himself, America, and Randy. Points up. Randy's not dead, by the way. He came out in his banana shorts and just did it. Boy, the wrestler segments were absolutely clipped. We're talking like a sentence or two per segment with like 1 or 2 questions, where there are usually 3 or 4. There was so little said that I was actually able to start going back and editing the review a bit while it was still going on. It was that empty. What was even stranger was that the runtime was around 24 minutes, so kind of smack dab in the middle of their allotment. There also was no guest host to offer their unique perspective. While I was a little apprehensive about them doing that at first, I think it's needed now, because Redmond and Camp by themselves feels a little empty. I don't know. Judgment Day, Riddle, and Bianca did well for what they had, but unfortunately, they didn't have much to work with, and it showed. My rating, 2 out of 5, and there's no must-watch segment this week. Okay, so now that we've seen some of the fallout, of course, I've got to give some thoughts about Money in the Bank. We're actually going to start with the men's Money in the Bank match, specifically the fact that Theory won. Absolute BS. I know that they're building new stars, that's good, but they can build Theory little by little. You don't have to play backstage politics in front of the public. We know Theory's the golden child, but give it some time. And now, if Theory regains the United States Championship at SummerSlam and cashes in on Roman later on in the night, he'll be the undisputed champion and the US champion, leaving SmackDown with just the Intercontinental Championship as far as the men's division goes. Sorry, I don't want to see Gunther as the head of the whole division. What foolishness. I'm sorry, while I want a full-time champion, I do not want to see selfies and posing twice a week. It took some finagling, but they found a way for me to hate a potential full-time champion more than a part-time one. It was probably their diabolical plan all along. You don't like Roman as a part-timer? What about Theory? Feel better about that? I should have known that when Bobby beat Theory clean for the United States Championship that there were shenanigans afoot. But from the moment Pierce brought him out, it seemed as though the other 7 men, the ones who actually qualified to be in the match, were just fodder. Just props framing Theory's inevitable ascent up the literal and metaphorical ladder. Kudos though, because they kept me in a bit of suspense with the various individuals getting to climb the ladder at various points. It's almost as if WWE were taking an informal survey on how popular a superstar is in a particular place by the crowd. Okay, let's see what kind of pop they get when Riddle goes up. Let's see how they react when Sammy starts to climb, and so on. Seth and Drew in particular got huge props from the audience when they started climbing. People want to see them succeed more. So, to the new SmackDown Women's Champion, Miss Liv Morgan. It was wonderful that she became Miss Money in the Bank. I was kind of upset about the cash in at first, because I think being Mr. or Miss Money in the Bank carries its own prestige and its own kind of career building spotlight. So if you become a champion a couple of hours later, then you've essentially just wasted the briefcase. Liv could have just beaten Natalya in a triple threat, or Rousey in a one-on-one match. Then someone like Raquel or even Shotzi could have won the briefcase, and voila, you have 2 new stars in the main event. But after I thought about it more, I'm at least happy that the cash-in was still a surprise, and they didn't go the baby faces must announce their cash-ins route. At least that way, Ronda kind of coronated Liv at the end. This leads me to believe that maybe this is a passing of the torch type moment, or that at least it might be a reign that'll go on for a while. Maybe a little optimistic, but that's at least what I'm hoping for. Bobby Lashley versus Theory. I'm going to attempt to keep this in a bubble, like what I thought of it more in isolation, because my instinct is to say it wasn't cool just because they let Theory lose in order to get to something higher. So we're not going to go there. I'm going to try not to. After Lashley's 20-year climb to becoming the almighty WWE champion, getting the US championship feels like a bit of a come down. Maybe when the championships are split back up, Bobby can be WWE champion again. For now, since this is the highest belt on Raw, I'm glad it's in the Almighty's possession, and I suspect there will be defenses aplenty until he loses it. So, Natalya and Ronda, they had a great match, I thought. I knew it was going to be better than people expected, and you could definitely tell that Natalya was the one who trained Ronda. It felt like a training session that got more hostile and vicious as the match went on, and I loved that. Well, it's unfortunate that the match must be remembered for the cash-in that happened afterwards. I still think they did a great job, and Liv coming in afterwards sets up her first feud perfectly, because Natalya has the perfect justification for wanting a shot at Liv. By hurting Rousey, She opened up the door for Liv to become champion. And truth be told, Natalya's been flailing in her booking for a while, so it feels right for her to be back in championship contention, even if she doesn't win. Bianca versus Carmella. This was pretty good. Is it the modern classic that Bianca-Becky WrestleMania 38 will be in history? But Bianca did a great job with Carmella, and the post-match beatdown of Bianca felt right for Carmella's character because it's so petty and entitled. No one actually expected Carmella to win, so that side of it felt a little like, this doesn't have to be half an hour. Let's just get through it so that matches with less predictable outcomes can happen. Hate to say it, but it's true. But the Carmella freakout also provides justification for more action down the line, if they revisit the feud or even keep it going right now. It worked. The Street Profits and the Usos. I cannot get over how good this match actually was. It was full of excitement. And it made me wonder at multiple spots if the Street Profits actually had a chance at winning. They didn't. But the reason why was fresh. Tessa's shoulder actually being up leaves the Profits looking less like losers and more like competitors who got screwed out of their shot. I was in fully from start to finish. Well, what do you all think? Who are these vignettes for? Is it for somebody completely new or a returning superstar? What are your thoughts about Money in the Bank? Let me know down in the comments. I will be away for a convention next week, and so I'll start reviewing with the Raw Talk from July 18th. That'll be the next video. Be sure to like this video, comment on it, share, subscribe, and tap that bell icon to make sure you get notifications for when new videos come out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.